Hello, everyone. Mark Gilliard here. I want to welcome you to your new favorite song here on AIM Country Music Television. My guest today is Tim Blixseth. Tim's life is the stuff of fairy tales. He describes his early days of living on welfare, a little isolated from the world around him, but covertly discovering his love of music. He figured out pretty early how to make money making deals. It may have started humbly, but Tim poured gas on that fire and made a fortune. Even at that, he still counts the blessings of love, family, and friends as the most important things in life. Tim's love for music never dimmed. For him, it's a mission, a passion. He was called on to write a song to help with disaster relief after Hurricane Katrina. Tim answered that call with a fervor that resulted in assistance of over $130 million. He even worked shoulder to shoulder with President Jimmy Carter to build Habitat for Humanity's number 1001 home for the project. Tim has reworked that song to address the climate we're living in today. He's here today to talk about Sycamore's video for his song, The Heart of America. So let's get him in here right now to talk about what might just be your new favorite song. Tim Blixseth, thanks for joining us today.
Well, thanks for having me, Mark.
You're welcome. We're glad you could join us. You wrote the song we're here to talk about today, The Heart of America. It was number one on the Country Music Channel charts for the first week of December 2024. Congratulations. That's a fantastic accomplishment. But this song was released in its original form back in 2005 in support of victims of Hurricane Katrina. You were able to provide over $100 million of relief with the support rallied around this song. But from what I've read, you come from the most humble of beginnings. What is the path from welfare childhood to a man with the vision to spearhead hundreds of millions of dollars of support for disaster victims? Can I get you to tell the whole story and just take as much time as you need? This will be interesting.
Well, I drove down Rocky Road to get there. Now, I grew up in welfare in Roseburg, Oregon, and I actually grew up in a religious cult, if you can believe that. And they didn't believe in Christmas, but yet they believed in Easter. And they didn't let me play in sports because I would be around the sinners. And I couldn't listen to music. So I bootlegged a little, they called it a transistor radio back in those days, had one earplug you put in, and I saved enough money doing little odd jobs, and so I'd go to sleep in my room at night, and I'd be listening to Elvis Presley and the music of that time, and my mother would say, "Timothy, are you asleep?" Yeah, and then go back to the listening. So the music started about that time. And then, while I've had several other careers, none of them have been as long or as satisfying as the music business. So I've been involved with so many artists over the years and written quite a few songs with some of the top writers like David Foster and Walter Afanasieff, Linda Thompson, Steve Dorff, some really great guys. And so I've been very blessed and lucky to do that. Back in 2005, when Hurricane Katrina hit, I got a call from Tom Whalley, who was then chairman of Warner Records. And we were in partnership on a project, an album project with Warner's. And so he said, "Can you get on a conference call with the Today Show producers, Phil Griffin? And we've got an idea about trying to raise some money for the victims." So we got on the conference call. Phil was on there and some other NBC execs. So they asked me if I knew somebody from Habitat for Humanity. And I said, "Yeah, I do." And so they said, "You think you can get them to join it and be a partner?" I said, "I think so, but I can't guarantee it, so I'll get some calls." So I worked over the weekend and got Habitat involved. And then I got a subsequent call, and they said, NBC said, we want to take over Rockefeller Plaza and let's build houses for the victims 24 hours a day on NBC. And they said, we should have a theme song for this. Can you write it? I said, "Well, of course." Yeah. Being, dumb and hard-headed. So I started writing the song. It came like about 3:40 in the morning. And I got to my piano and started playing it, and I got stuck. And so I called Eric Benet, who we were producing for Warner Brothers at the time. And I said, Eric, he says, what are you doing calling me so early? And he was probably just going to bed, and I'm just getting up. And so I said, you got to help me finish this. So I played it for him over the phone on the piano and told him the story. So bottom line is we finished it. And then I dug into some old archives, and I called my old friend Michael McDonald, who I've known since he's about 18, the Doobie Brothers and his own career, and asked him, Mike, you got to sing this song. And we got Winona Judd to sing one part of it, and then Eric sang the other part. So they all flew out to Hollywood, and Fox Studios gave us their big studio, and we had a full 88-piece orchestra that everyone donated their time free of charge. And we filmed it, made the record, and so then the journey started. And so I went on the Today Show, and I jump-started the donations by giving a check, and then that followed, and then Major League Baseball called us and said, hey, can the group come sing it at the Houston World Series? And I called them all. They said, sure, we'll be there. So we all went down to Houston, and I'm standing on home plate with Nolan Ryan and Michael and Eric and Winona are on the pitcher's mound singing Heart of America for about 100 million people worldwide, which was pretty fulfilling. But that helped. And then Carnegie Hall wanted them to do it. So we went up to Carnegie Hall and sang it there, and went on the Today Show. So bottom line is that it was all intended for one good reason. That was to raise donations for the victims. So we ultimately raised well over $100 million. And when we had raised that money, one of my criteria was that there's no admin taken out of it. No parties being paid by organizers. It all goes to the victims. So Habitat called me and said, we've built 1,000 houses so far. And would you and President Carter come down and build the 1,001 house? So I called Jimmy, and he said, oh yeah, pick me up in Americus, Georgia. So I picked he and Rosalind up, and Mrs. Carter. We went down to New Orleans, and we landed, and Secret Service took us to the hotel, and I said, well, Jimmy, you probably want to go to sleep now. He goes, sleep? He said, we're going to go out and listen to jazz. So here we are walking down with the Secret Service behind us down Bourbon Street, poking in and out of honky tonks, and the guys are playing the old jazz stuff. And hey, Mr. President. And it was a lot of fun. The next day we built the 1,001 house. So that was the first journey for Heart of America. And I've always wanted to re-record the song, and I rewrote the lyrics. That was specifically, those lyrics were back at the request to write it for Katrina. But with this acrimonious world we live in today, I decided to rewrite the lyrics to what it is today. And so I did. And at the same time, we were putting together the band Sycamore, which is consisting of the best studio players in Nashville. Eddie Bear Jr. is the only Country Hall of Fame drummer that's ever been. And you got all those 5 guys that are just the top notch. So we were doing their album, and I said, boys, we gotta do Heart of America. So we did, and we enlisted Adam Cunningham from The Voice to be our guest singer on that record. And Adam's just a great singer and a great guy.
Yes. I was going to ask who was singing, because that I didn't recognize him from the other guys, but yeah, he's definitely got the voice.
He's the real deal.
He is.
I hope his career with Sycamore really goes through the roof. So we shot the video. We tried to make it really about helping and about human. And that's my story, and I'm sticking with it.
Sounds like a pretty good story. Yeah, coming from the Christian cult in Oregon to hanging out with the Carters it's a pretty good story.
Yeah, it's been a good journey.
So when they called to ask you to write a song like that, what's the process to come up with something on request instead of basically being I think most people kind of have some sort of inspiration or an idea they start with. How did you spin that into a song?
I'd like to give you some real mysterious answer, but I can't. I woke up around 3:40 a.m. and I just had the song in my head. I sat down at the piano and it just was there.
It's amazing the stuff your brain works on when you're not paying attention, isn't it?
That's right.
How many songs have you written?
Oh, over 100, I'm sure.
Wow. Well, that's pretty impressive. So your band, how'd you go about pulling together this band? Because you got some, I mean, it's all heavy hitters. Eddie Bear with the drummer in the Country Music Hall of Fame. You got Jeff King, he's played with Faith Hill and Johnny Cash and Dave Matthews and Pat McGrath. 100 songs he's been on. The guy from Giant, I could never pronounce his name. Mike Brignardello.
Mike Brignardello, right? Brig is great. He plays with Amy Grant and a lot of other artists.
Yeah, I mean these guys are like the top. Dane Bryant is the last guy I didn't mention. He's pianist, producer.
He was Olivia Newton-John's music director for a lot of years.
Yeah. So you're the glue that pulled this together. How did you pull that off?
Well, it was a little bit of a challenge because these guys are seasoned guys. They've heard it, they've seen it, and listened to all the nonsense. So really, Ed C., who is our engineer, he's the man in Nashville, the engineer. And he produced quite a few hit records in the past. But I got acquainted with Ed, and we'd used Dane on one of the demo sessions, and Jeff King on one of the demo sessions. So it kind of morphed to where it is today, and we started talking. I said, how many gold and platinum records have you guys all played on? They counted it was over 300. I said, but none for you. They said, that's right. I said, well, why don't we try that? Let's just try to get you guys. So I said, let's put together Sycamore. You guys, you 5 guys are the best in the business. You are Sycamore. And each album that we do will probably have 1 or 2 guest singers. I mean, maybe a famous guest singer on the next album. Who knows? But the core is Sycamore. So they finally, and Eddie Bear was, he was really the cheerleader. I was surprised that he's been asked to play with groups all through his career. I mean, he was with Creedence Clearwater on their records and goes that far back. But Eddie said, you know what? I'm in. So we made a record, 15 songs, and we made it our way. We didn't care what the industry says or what radio or anybody else says. We made it pure music and without the restraints of corporate executives telling us, no, you got to make it sound like this.
Exactly.
So the record's done. The album comes out in January. And then I got an idea that we just finished, which was another off-the-wall idea. I said, let's take a dozen of the songs out of the 15, and let's get the Nashville Symphony players, and let's make a instrumental version of the album, and which that album is done now, and it's called Sycamore Pure Music. And it actually really turned out great. There's a song on there I wrote with David Foster, one I wrote with Linda Thompson. I don't know if you're familiar with Linda. She was with Elvis for 4.5 years, and she was on Hee Haw and formerly Miss Tennessee. She was married to Foster for 20 years.
Right. Okay.
But she's a very good songwriter. Linda wrote one of Josh Groban's big hits, and she's written a lot of other songs too. And I wrote a song with Steve Dorff on the album. So the Pure Music album, I'm really excited about it because nobody's made a record like this that I know of in 25 years.
Well, that's fantastic. I like listening to the song we're getting ready to play here. It's just obvious. It's all so coherent, and all pieces are just perfect. And I'm pretty excited to see what people think.
When you have the best players, you get the best results.
You do, yeah. It's I think when I first read about Sycamore, I was afraid it would be clinical, that it might just be too perfect and no real emotion to it. But it just came out. These guys just know what they're doing from the very first beat. It's amazing.
I mean, they get this. I love being in the studio with these guys, and I've been in the studio countless hours over the last 2 years, and they just get it. When they play together, it's just like magic.
Well, there's chemistry there. It's not just them playing a part; it's chemistry.
On the David Foster song that I wrote with David, called "Angel Smile." By the way, that's another story. Is that a friend of mine, Paul Young, wrote the book called The Shack. Are you familiar with that?
Yes, sir.
Over 30 million copies sold. And a few years back, Paul asked me if I would write a song for what was going to be the movie. So I enlisted David Foster, and we wrote this song. And really, when you listen to the lyrics, it's about the book. It's about Missy, the little girl that was killed in the book. And through a series of events I won't elaborate on, the song didn't make the movie. But I've always wanted to record it, so we cut it recently. And Paul Young, the author, said, be sure you put on the album from the book, The Shack, which we will do. But we were in the studio, and we had an intro to it that David and I wrote, but it was bland. And Jeff King came up with a line right in the middle of the song, and I went, stop, Jeff. That's really remarkable. Let's start and end the song with that lick, those chords, and that riff, and everybody got it, and it changed the song completely. Yeah,
it's awesome.
So it's just been a great journey.
And so the full album will be out in January 2025? February. Okay, awesome.
February 25.
Definitely looking for that one. Well, I'm ready to play it and see what everyone thinks. What about you?
Let's go.
Outstanding. You're watching Sycamore's video for Tim Blixseth's The Heart of America here on AIM Country Music Television.
Maybe now this is the time to leave our differences behind, a chance to reach out for our neighbor's hand. Let them know love's still alive. Though we follow different faiths and we're all from different lands, we are family and we all believe in the dream of a common man. It's the heart of America. It's the soul of you. Been through what we hope to be true is this promise of liberty. It's the heart of America, and for those who sacrificed, it's the love that speaks in the heart that beats in you and me. Every time someone's in need, huddled masses or alone, every step you take, every effort made, help them find their way back home. And in this land we are all free to agree today find unity. That's the best that we can be. It's the heart of America. It's the soul of you and me. No matter what we've been through, what we hope to be true, this promise of liberty. It's the heart of America. And for those who've sacrificed, it's the love that speaks in the heart that beats you and me. Oh, make a difference today. Let us stand here as one. We all have a dream, and it can be done. It's the heart of America. It's the soul of you and me. No matter what we've been through, what we hope to be true, this promise of liberty. It's the heart of America. And for those who sacrificed, it's the love that speaks in the heart that beats. It's the love that speaks in the heart that beats. Oh, and you and me.
Maybe now this is the time.
Maybe now this is the time to leave our differences behind and show the heart of America.
That's fantastic. I love it. It's amazing to me that a song from almost 20 years ago is so timely, like right now. Congratulations on that.
Thank you. I think the message for the song really is more important, or it's not more important, but it's really important today. The way our world is, where people are fighting each other, and we can agree. The lyric of the song says, "And in this land we all are free to agree to disagree. But in times of need, we find unity. That's the best we can be." That's what our country needs to get back to.
Yeah, it's a good start. Yeah. Well, this song could be a standard, like Lee Greenwood's "Proud to Be an American." Just got all the right ingredients.
Well, I hope a lot of people enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, I love it. I love it when Adam at the end there jumps up that octave and just starts hammering the lyrics. It just brings out the goosebumps. It's great.
Yeah, he's really got a great voice.
He does. Where can we hear the original of this to compare it? I looked around and I didn't see it, but where can we find it at?
If you go on YouTube, put in Heart of America, Eric Benet, B-E-N-E-T, you will see the original version. When I cut it in the studio, and a lot of the scenes from NBC. So it's on there. And obviously now, if you go to sycamore.com, that's Sycamore with a C, C-Y-C-A-M-O-R-E, or Spotify or Apple Music, it's on all of those outlets.
Fantastic. Well, I've really enjoyed catching up with you today. Thanks for coming on the show. This has been great.
Mark, thank you so much, and keep up the good work.
Thank you so much, Tim. Ladies and gentlemen, Tim Blixseth. So, what do you think? Is The Heart of America going to be your new favorite song? This has been Mark Gillia for AIM Country Music Television. Thank you so much for watching.
You and me.
Maybe now this is the time.
Maybe now this is the time to leave our differences behind and show the heart of America.